Singapore's first low-cost medium-haul airline, Scoot, is eyeing the China and India markets.
Obviously, China is a market of great interest because of its growth potential and the number of people that are now looking to, entering the middle class and looking to travel. Also, there are many destinations that are not very well served from Singapore at this point. India has a lot of potential, although it also has a few challenges with regard to market access.
Scoot will fly to 4 destinations: Sydney, Gold Coast, Tianjin and Bangkok, and more than 100,000 seats have already been sold. Scoot's average fares cost 40% less than those of full-service airlines. The no-frills carrier's inaugural flight takes off for Sydney on June 4th. Scoot will fly to 6 destinations by the end of 2012.
What are the key challenges of starting Singapore's first low-cost long-haul airline?
The key challenge was time, because we were given a very short time frame of 12 months to start the airline, and that was from a spreadsheet on a thumb drive to a flying, safe, reliable airline. So many projects have to be started in the early phases. Seats take a long time to procure. The aircraft design takes a long time to do the interior design, the fittings.
Then how about, in this climate of very high fuel costs and stuff, are costs a concern?
Well, costs are always a concern for any airline, especially a long-haul, low-cost airline. Fuel accounts for more than 45% of our total costs, so the movement of the fuel price is very important. Nevertheless, there are many ways that we can save cost. Some of them are in terms of the overhead we have. We have a very small administrative cohort of staff. We outsource a lot of functions to the likes of SIA Engineering or SATS. If the consumer wants some of the frills, like a meal, we'll happily provide it. But it means that because not everyone chooses to buy a meal, for example, we can take out about 1.5 galleys from the aircraft, and so use that space for more seats and therefore lower the cost per seat.
Although fuel is expensive and more airlines are muscling into the low-cost market, Campbell is upbeat about Scoot's prospects.
If you look back at Singapore, over the last 8 years, the proportion of budget travel, no-frills travel going through Changi Airport has gone from virtually nothing to 26% last year. That's 26% of 47 million people from nothing. So there's clearly a very large segment of the market that is interested in budget travel, is now comfortable with budget travel, and because hitherto low-cost airlines have been restricted to a range of about 4.5 hours, they've been constrained to the number of destinations they can choose. So because we have larger aircraft able to go further distance, we can now provide a budget travel option for people going 8-9 hours, which includes Australia, East Coast Australia, includes northern China, includes other parts of North Asia, west coast of India and other places. So we think it's very positive. We think that typically the demand for air travel overall grows about 1 percentage point faster than GDP growth. And in this region, GDP growth is still around 6%, 6.5%. And at that sort of rate, it means the total number of people travelling doubles about every 13 years. The low-cost segment is growing even faster. So we think that certainly in the medium term, the medium-haul low-cost model should prove very successful.
So when is Scoot expected to break even?
We've got no time frame for that. It's not a cheap proposition to set up an airline. It's not a cheap proposition to run a wide-body airline. But the reasons for being set up is strategic. It's to bring incremental business to the group and to tap a very large and fast-growing market in Singapore and more broadly Southeast Asia.
When asked if its flying to Bangkok, a short-haul destination, overlaps with sister carrier Tiger Airways services, Campbell said no.
Between flying to Australia, Gold Coast and Sydney, there are about 7 hours where the aircraft is just sitting around. And so rather than keep it there, sitting there depreciating on the tarmac, it makes sense for us to operate it up to a regional destination so that the fixed costs are spread over more operating seats. That allows us to lower the airfare across all seats in the network. We chose Bangkok mainly because it's large enough to support a 400-seat aircraft. It's not constrained by traffic rights. It's already very competitive. So we felt that there was room for us to operate without detrimentally affecting the others.
Keeping costs low and prices competitive and making sure its service is safe and reliable are the key principles of Scoot. Next up, find out what Scootitude is.